Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video we are going to be learning how to cut and sew this cut together asymmetric dress. It's a very simple edited tutorial. If this would like what you love to learn, continue watching. Remember to like and leave a comment. My foundational class on pattern drafting is here for November, and this class is actually for everyone, both beginner, intermediate and advanced. It's going to be strictly pattern drafting. And then another thing about this online class is that you are going to have time for mentorship. So more detail will be in the comment section. Let's get started. Material, any really stretchy material will do, either lacquer, crepe that is really stretchy. All right, so that is what you are going to be needing for today's tutorial. Work with just 3 yards. Then we are going to be drafting our pattern on fold. So fold your pattern into 2, just as you can see me do, and then mark out your starting line. All right, and then from that point come down. This is going to be the top line. All right, then from that point come down by your chest line. I'm working with 8 inches. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, mark out my chest line like so, and then I'm going to label it out as you can see me do. Then from that point I will come down by 16 inches. This is my this is my shoulder to half length, or my waistline. Then I'm going to create my waistline like so, and then I'll also label it as my waistline. All right, after doing that I'm going to come down by 9 inches from my waistline. So this is my waist to hip length. All right, I'm going to also label it as my hip line. Then I'm going to mark my neck width as 3 inches, and then the neck depth 3 inches. Then I'm going to take my curve ruler and then create my neckline like so. Then I'll go in by my shoulder measurement, divide by 2, which is 7. I'll also mark it on my chest line as well. Then I'll go ahead to create my shoulders like so, and then I'll come down by 1.5 inch as my shoulder slant. All right, I'm going to connect it back to my neckline this way. Then I'll find the midpoint of what I have left by folding my tape into 2, as you can see, to my chest line. Then I'm going to mark the midpoint, then go in by 1/2 inch. All right, I'm going to connect it back to my shoulder slant. Then I'll mark my round bust circumference divided by 4, my chest line. Then I'll go ahead and do the same thing on my waistline, and then on my hip line as well, my round hip circumference divided by 4. Then I'm going to go ahead and connect my armhole like so. Then I'll connect also to my waistline, and then use my curve ruler connect to my hip line, just as you can see now. After doing that, all you are going to do is to take your tracing wheel and then trace everything to the other side. Remember, like I said, we are drafting this pattern on fold, so just go ahead, trace everything to the other side of the pattern. All right, so just as you can see me doing, I'm going to mark everything out on this side of it. So it's still the same thing. Whatever my tracing wheel is showing, I'll just go ahead and then mark it out. And on this side of the waistline, come down by 1 inch. All right, and then on this other side, come down by 6 inches. All right, this side 1 inch, and then this side 6 inches. Then take your curve ruler and then connect it together. When you're done, come over to this side of the shoulder, extend it by a few inches. All right, and then you are going to mark out or go out by 2.5 inch. But if you want your sleeve longer, you can use 3 inches. So I work with 2.5 inch, and then I'm going to connect like so. All right, so after connecting, the next thing I'm going to do, from this neckline, I'm going to go in by 2 inches. All right, from my neckline, as you can see, I will go in by 2 inches. All right, and then what I'm going to do now is to come over to this other side. I'm going to come down by at least 5 inches. All right, this is going to be my off shoulder. I'm coming down by 5 inches from my shoulder line, as you can see me do, 5 inches. All right, then I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to connect, just as you can see me do. I'm going to go ahead and then connect to create my off shoulder line like so. So after creating my shoulder, I'm going to extend it to, we are going to extend it because if you saw the finished look, we are cut together sleeve on both sides. So I'm going to extend this, and then after extending, what I'm going to do now is to come over to this point. I will go in by 1 inch. All right, and then I'm going to curve it into my already created off shoulder line, as you can see me do. All right, just curve it into it like so. Then from my top line, I'm going to come down by 13 inches. So from that point, I'll go ahead and then create a curve for my other off shoulder sleeve. So I'm going to make the width 4 inches. All right, so I'm going to make the width 4 inches, and then I'm going to go ahead and then reconnect from my 13 inches back to that 4 inches, just as you can see. All right, and then this is what I have here. This is going to be the other side of the off shoulder sleeve. All right, so after doing that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the length of it 4 inches in total, and then I actually think this was a bit too much. So as you can see, I'm going to add my allowance round. I'm adding allowance only to the neckline area and then the armhole area. I'm not adding to the side because my fabric is stretchy. All right, so just as you can see me do now, I am done adding my 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to add it to this point as well, and then I'll just blend it into the side. Like I said, I'm not adding the side. So at the hemline, I added extra 1 inch actually because it wasn't really that low on the side, so I just added extra 1 inch. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and then add another 1/2 inch for my joining allowance, and then this is what I have. So on this side of it, I'm going to also add 1/2 inch, all right, as my allowance also for joining, and then at this point I'm going to extend it by 1 inch, and then I will connect like so. When you're done, just go ahead and then cut out. So for this side of the shoulder, I actually made it 4 inches. All right, so as you can see, I'm trying to make it a total of 4 inches, then add another 1/2 inch for joining, and then I later discovered that it was actually a bit too much. So in process of me trying to adjust it, I actually lost most of my slash and spread effect. That is why it wasn't that obvious in my finished look. So I would advise you do about 3 inches or 2.5 inch will do. 3 inches or 2.5 inch will do instead of 4 inch. 4 inch was too much for me, except if your arm is really like big. That's the only point you can use 4 inches. So if that is clear, I would advise you work with about 3 inches, you understand, or 2.5 inch. So long your fabric is stretchy, it will sit well, because this 4 inches was a bit too much for me when I was done. So I have to go ahead and then adjust. So just go ahead, create lines as you can see me do now. All right, because we are going to create slash and spread effects, and then repeat the same thing on this side of the shoulder because we are still doing the same thing here. All right, so just create your slash and spread effects as you can see me do. When you're done, take your paper scissors and then open it up. Just go ahead and slash it. Next thing you are going to do is to bring in your fabric. So just pin down, and then we are going to go ahead and then create the slash and spread effect. So we cannot spread it too much because of the length of our slits. So just try as much as you can and then spread it open. Make sure you pin down very well, because if you are working with stretchy fabric, it can be very, very difficult. So just try as much as you can to spread it open and then give it a little space. When you're done, another thing you are going to do is to be bringing them together. All right, so just start closing the slash and spread effect and then pin it down. All right, bring this to this, pin it down, bring this to this, pin it down. Do the same thing to the other side and cut out. I'm going to remove the pattern and then still hold the pleating in place with my pin. This is it for the center front. All right, so what we are going to do now is to set it aside and then cut out the back piece. So this is it for the front. Set it aside, bring in your pattern. You are going to fold your pattern into two, use the waist as guide, as you can see me do now. All right, and then take your paper scissors and then slit it open. All right, so on the waistline, go in by half inch. All right, go in by half inch, connect it to the hip line and then the chest line, cut it off. So I'm going to be adding zipper. In as much as my fabric is stretchy, I don't want to take chances of having to force it on. All right, so just align it to make sure it's aligning, and then you are going to place it. You can see how I actually place it. So the right side of my pattern is facing the right side of my fabric. All right, so you can see how I place my pattern. So what we are going to do now is to pin down. So the same thing, just like we did with the front, is the same thing we are going to do with the back. All right, so just pin down, make sure you create space for your slash and spread effects, and then cut out. Repeat the same thing on this side. So I'm not adding any extra allowance for zipper. Like I said, though the fabric is actually stretchy, like very stretchy, but I decided not to add allowance because the stretchiness will make up for all the allowance needed. So the same thing I did at the front is what I'm going to repeat here. So what you're going to do now is to take off your pattern and then set the rest of the piece aside, and then you are going to bring in the front piece, place it shoulder to shoulder, and then pin down. All right, so we are actually doing this. I'm actually doing it this way so that you understand what we are doing. So this is the side that have the armhole, so just pin down. Remember to stop at where your opening stop. Just pin down to the side. All right, so this is it. This is what we have. What you are going to do now is to set it aside, and then you are going to bring back the other piece. This is the off shoulder part of it. All right, so pin down and then also create your slash and spread effect by opening the slits that you have. All right, and then also close off and then cut out. this is it. So bring in the front piece. So now you can easily identify the side that this other side is going to be on. So just place it right side facing the right side and pin down. So when you're done pinning, join by 1/2 inch at this point. Remember to leave a space for your armhole here, and then join the remaining one by 1 inch. Then what you're going to do the same thing here, 1/2 inch, 1 inch. Then go ahead and hem your neckline round and fix your zipper. All right, so this is it. After I was done doing that, you can see I already hem my neckline. Look at the space I left out for my armhole on this side, and then this is it. I already hemmed the armhole round. This is it for my zipper as well. So what I'm going to do now is to bring in the down piece. So I work with 3 yards in total. This is what I have left. I already made my ruffle. So I'm just going to go over to my machine and then sew this around. All right, so for the length is your choice, depending. This is 41 inches, so remember you can do whatever length you wish to do. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this round and bring it back. So this is it after I was done joining it around. So this is it for this. So I'm going to share the finished look with us. This is the finished look. Remember to like and leave a comment if you find this video helpful. With this, YouTube will recommend my video to a larger audience. Thank you so much. I will see you in my next video. Bye.